If you're there, you can finish and enjoy your holiday. There is now this quarantine issue that I think people have been aware this may well come along. Unfortunately, this virus doesn't play ball. And as the French Prime Minister Jean Castex said himself, France has been heading the wrong way. And we've seen a 66% increase in the last week alone of test positive cases in France. So people will look at their own situations. I think a lot of people would have been aware that this was a possibility in France and in some of these other countries. There's a little bit more notice than there was, for example, in Spain, which is where I was actually when I came back and had to quarantine at the end of that, because the rate is just a bit behind where Spain was at the time. Of course, the thing with France is that there are 3 different ways to travel. You can take the air, but you can also go by sea, and you'd also go by the tunnel. But clearly, quite a lot of people may be trying to return immediately. The advice from all the travel operators is very clear: to contact them in advance. Don't just turn up, because you'll almost certainly be disappointed, and it will just create queues which no one wants to see. Testing on return isn't quite as straightforward as it sounds, because if you test somebody who's asymptomatic, in other words, they don't think they've got anything but may in fact have it, on day one on their return, then it would probably only capture a very small percentage. Some scientists have suggested perhaps only 7% of actual cases. Now, clearly you need to have a system which is more accurate than that before you can say to people, you've now been tested and you don't need to quarantine. And of course, these are things that we're reviewing all of the time. We have worked so hard as a country to get the numbers down. We have seen it lift across Europe. It's really important that we try our hardest to prevent that from creating the problems that we're also familiar with here in the past. And so, we do need to act, and I think the public have a right to expect us to act as soon as the figures justify it. And as I say, the French figures in particular, 66% rise in just a week, over 50% rise in Holland. So we will continue to keep this under review, sometimes adding countries where safe to do so, and sometimes, I'm afraid, removing countries where we can no longer do so.